Thacker is the USA Today best-selling author of 40-plus fiction, thriller novels, and non-fiction author-focused books. He likes to build things for authors. In addition, he speaks and presents about publishing, marketing, which is what we're here to talk about today, and the future of books. So if you want to work with Nick, you've come to the right place because he's right here for you to ask your questions to in the Q&A section as well. And I'm sure Nick has got some really valuable information to share. So I'll pass it right over to you, Nick.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Hopefully everyone can hear me. I'm coming at you live in Colorado Springs in the grand old US of A. But more importantly, I can see all of your comments for better or worse. So if you actually, here's what we're going to do. We are talking about marketing, and I was asked to bring you advanced marketing strategies. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to focus on that. What that means, though, is I hope you have the next 6 to 7 hours blocked off because there's a lot to do. No, I'm just kidding. I talk very fast. So we're going to cover quite a bit, and we are hopefully going to get into it, and hopefully, leave time for questions. But I wanted to mention where I am because I can see the chat. I can see you all, your beautiful faces. And this will be a little different. I don't have a presentation per se, like with slides and bullets and all that boring stuff, just because I don't do that super well. I like to talk and I like to just get into some of this stuff. So what I'd like to do is, if you've got a question or you want me to clarify something, drop it in the comment. If I don't get to it in situ, like as we speak, as we go, we turn that off because hopefully you guys can hear my wife dinging me. She always waits until I start these before she texts me. If you've got a question or a comment or want me to clarify something, just drop it in the comments. I'm looking at those as we go. Okay. And so what I'd like to do is try to get those in the moment, but there'll be time afterwards. What I'm going to cover is probably 45, 50 minutes. And so we'll have some time for Q&A. And I'll go back through and scroll and make sure I get your question, or you can just post it again if I forget. Okay. But don't let me go on. If you've got a question, put it in there. You're not going to interrupt me. You're not going to mess anything up. So let's get started. We're talking about marketing, and the question I like to start with, and this isn't rhetorical, I want you to answer, literally drop it in the chat. The question I want to start with is, what is holding you back from successfully marketing your fiction? From successfully marketing your book, okay? What is holding you back right now? If you had to guess, maybe you already know the answer, maybe you think you know the answer, whatever it is, whatever's on your mind, I want you to drop it into the chat. If you can't find the chat, click around. There's all these buttons in Zoom, but you should be there. Everything. Funds, big one. Budget. Yeah, Linda says budget, knowledge, fear. Those are good ones. Hold on a sec, turn that do not disturb on because she keeps texting me. Didn't do the right market research, Shannon, ST Huston says. I'm reading just reading some of these before we get going, right? And S says consistency in the promotion. That's a big one. That's good. Maybe not enough knowledge. Yeah, okay. Enjoying the act of marketing. Cool. Lack of strategy. Trolls. Tiffany said troll. I'm so sorry. That's hard. Yeah. Okay, look, keep going. There's like 3 different kind of areas here that you guys are coming at, or coming from. And this, I just picked this up yesterday. This isn't even in my notes, but I'm reading Jim Quick's book called Limitless. And he talks about 3 areas that often we need, in order to be like in the groove, like in the zone, we need to have consistency between these 3 areas. And it's method. Some of you are talking about method, right? Like, I don't know if my strategy is going to work or not. I don't know how to do advertising. The next one is mindset, right? Like, really, what do I do? Like, how do I get my mind around this? And I need to be spending my time writing. How do I have time to market? I don't understand that. It's a mindset problem, right? And then the third one is motivation, right? Like, why are we doing what we're doing? And they're all related, right? They all kind of bleed onto each other. That's not part of my talk. These are the questions or the answers you're giving me to my question, what is holding you back, all sort of fall into one of these 3 areas, or sometimes they bleed between 2. But as we go forward, think about that in terms of where you are right now and what you believe is holding you back. Now, I may give you some information here where you're like, oh crap, I didn't know that was holding me back, but that is too. Now everything's holding me back. But I'm not trying to give you more problems. Okay. I'm not trying to put all this on you. What I am going to do, hopefully, is give you information that's working for my career. Okay. And I'm not saying that to blow smoke and just be, look how awesome I am. But there are things that I've done in my career that worked really well. I started as a marketing guy. Okay. So a lot of the stuff that I came to was either intuitive because of what I'd done in the past as my job, like building a mailing list. I never had to learn to do that. I knew that was important. But the point is, I wasn't afraid to try all these different things. And so I do have a very successful fiction career. Right? Thrillers. I've got about 40 something thrillers out. I do something in the 6-figure range as far as ad spend every year. Okay. So, and I'm making a good ROI. So there's things that I've done, and I've made a lot of mistakes that I can give you that hopefully will let you see that there is there is light at the end of the tunnel. Okay. We're not going to solve all your problems right now, but we are going to get into some ways to get into the mindset, the motivation, and the method that hopefully will help you forward. Okay. The problem, of course, is we're bombarded by all these new things to try, all these marketing ideas, tactics, whatever you want to call them. Authors like me, you'll see, he did this, he spent all this money on ads, I must be doing ads wrong. Ads is the secret. Or Book Talk is really big now and everyone's killing it on Book Talk, that must be the secret. Another problem is, because of all the different things to try, we don't have enough time to try all these new things. And we certainly don't have enough money to throw at all the things, right? We can focus on ads and maybe spend $100 a month or $20 a month or 2,000, but then we can't do that's all the money. We can't spend that money somewhere else trying, social media or trying to put billboards up in our local hometown. All of these problems, the ones I've just given you, the ones that you've mentioned here, priorities, Twinkle says, knowledge, that comes up a lot. Yeah, all of these problems really boil down to one big thing, okay? We don't know how to choose what we should be focusing on. We don't know how to choose what we should be focusing on, right? We go to a conference, Fictionary, 20 books, whatever it is, Nink coming up here in September. We go to something and we hear people like me get up there and talk and say, man, this works for me. And you hear that, and then you go to another session and literally the next hour and somebody says something different. And they're both, I'm sure they work for those people, right? You're sure they work for both of those guys, but you can't focus on one or the other. You have to feel you focus on both. And there's usually not just two, there's usually 10 or 20 things that you pick up at these conferences, at these places, or books, whatever it is. So we don't know how to choose what we should be focusing on and when. And I want to tell you that today. I want to give you those things. Okay. I know I'm being real philosophical, right? Real like bird's eye view, but we're going to kind of go down like a funnel, marketing talk, right? We're going to go down like a funnel. We're going to start big, high level and woo-woo, if you will. Here's the philosophy, the mindset, but I'm going to give you that tactical stuff. Like, here's what I do. And here's how I do it. Yeah, we're not going to have time to dig into like how to build an ad, but there's plenty of research out there and plenty of stuff you can go study on your own. And I'll give you some resources that I've built that cost a little bit more money if you want to dig into that, because it takes more time. But I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to tell you here's what I do and here's how it all works. Okay. Before we do that, I want to tell you how I define marketing, because this is big. I think this is a first mindset shift for a lot of authors. It certainly was for me. Maybe you've said something like this, or maybe you've heard somebody say something like this before. I don't like marketing because it feels sleazy or shady or salesy, right? These words that they typically are bad words, right? I don't like marketing. I don't like advertising. I don't like self-promotion because it feels sleazy, shady, whatever, salesy. Here's the way I want you to define marketing. This is my definition. You don't have to take it, but I'm here talking to you, so you have to listen to me. Here's how I define marketing. It's just creating something that somebody else will like, and then giving it to them or showing it to them and asking them to buy it, right? But the important part is it's creating something, right? There's creativity involved, and building something that you already know somebody else will like or love or care about or empathize with. And then you just show it to them. You say, look, here's the thing that I made that I'm pretty sure you'll like. Okay. And that's not meant to be tongue in cheek. That is an actual definition that I use, right? Because the truth is, even though I'm a unique snowflake, there's a lot of people who are enough like me that they're going to like what I like. And so if I write this book, whatever you want, whatever it is, whatever genre, if I write this thing, there's somebody out there who will also like that thing enough to give me a little bit of money for it. We're not asking them to buy a car. This isn't $40,000. What this is, it's a book. It's not a huge ask. We just have to find those people, right? That's what marketing is. We just have to find the people who we already know will like it. So that's why this stuff isn't shady. It's not salesy or sleazy or whatever bad word you want to put in there. Okay? Because we're not making things that are crap. I hope. Don't make crap. Write good books, right? Learn craft. We're writing good stuff for people who already read in that genre. We're writing sci-fi. We're writing space opera. There's people who like that. Okay. So you just have to find them and show them, look, I did this and I think it's good because I spent so much time on it. And if you want it, here it is. And they're more than happy to part with it if it's something that they truly believe they will like also. Okay. So marketing definition, there you go. Boom. Part of that though, is we've kind of talked about this. We need to talk about bad marketing. We need to talk about that shady, sleazy stuff, whatever, because as we get down that funnel today, as we talk through this stuff, you want to have this in your mind so you can identify it. Okay. Usually bad marketing is one of three things. It's the wrong product. Okay. We wrote a space opera, but it has a happily ever after historical cowboy romance, at the end. It's not really a space opera. We just kind of, the product isn't there. It doesn't work. It's off genre. It's not right to market, whatever we want to say. It's the wrong product, or, more likely it's just a product that doesn't work. This is the crap, right? You made a squeegee that cleans the toilet and it breaks every time you use it. That's the wrong product. The second thing that bad marketing is usually it's the wrong audience. And this is a big one, right? I wrote a space opera and it's legitimately a good space opera, but then I'm targeting the historical cowboy Western romance. I don't even know if it's all the same thing. The wrong genre. I'm targeting the wrong people. I'm looking at the wrong audience. And then the third thing, bad marketing, is the wrong offer. Maybe the price is wrong. Maybe the cover sucks. Maybe the description isn't there. You had ChatGPT pop out a blurb that doesn't know you, whatever. It's the wrong offer. Now, bad marketing is one of those things, but often, and you guys know this, right? It can be two or more of those things. We've seen bad marketing, and that's when we call it shady, sleazy. So we get the Facebook ad in our face, Dollar Shave Club, whatever it is, but hey, I don't shave. So why? That's not necessary. That's just a bad audience. That's wrong audience, right? Good product, probably good offer, but wrong audience. So bad marketing is off-putting, of course, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to talk about how to do this in a way that brings all three of those things together, okay? I'm going to get real practical here. I'm going to tell you the three buckets. I call them buckets because it's the easiest way to picture this thing. But when it comes to marketing fiction right now, and I believe in the future, there are three areas, three categories of marketing that we all have to be doing. Okay. And I'm not going to shy away from this. You can argue with me if you want, but all day long, I'm going to say we have to be doing these three things. And if we aren't doing these three things, if we haven't built our foundation in these three things, and I'm coaching you, you're paying me to tell you all this stuff, I'm going to tell you, don't go get the billboard ads until you do these three things. Okay. Don't go try to do a massive newsletter swap that's going to, suck your soul away until you've got these three things on lock. Okay. Whatever the marketing activity you're thinking of, all that stuff you said, I don't really know. There's so many things to choose. I don't know what to focus on. These are the three things you focus on. You ready? If you're taking notes, this is what you write down. This is big. 2023 and beyond. Okay, guys, we're focusing on social media. I know, I hate it. I'm with you. We're doing it. I believe the term branding really means social media now. Okay, there's not really, you can't do one without the other. It's pretty much the same thing. Social media is the first one. The second thing we all have to be doing is advertising. You're hearing me, you wrote your first book, you're like, oh my God. Yeah, you may not be there yet, right? You may not be ready to start advertising real money, $1,000 a week, that kind of thing. And I'm not telling you that that's the number, but that's fine. You need to be writing books and getting your platform built out that way as well. But at some point, when you start going, hey, I need to start marketing and I need to really get serious about this, you need to start advertising. Okay, and we're gonna talk about that. The third thing is email marketing. newsletter swaps is kind of part of that, but really I'm talking about just consistency in messaging. Somebody said that earlier. I don't know how to be, I think the word wasn't consistent, but that was what consistency in the promotion. Ines Almeida said that. Consistency, okay, in your messaging. And that's where email marketing comes in, because it's pretty close to free these days. Side note, self-promotion, I started and built a company called Author Email. It's $10 a month or $10.99 a month for 10,000 subscribers. Send as many times as you want. So there's no reason, there's no excuse now to have to spend $300 a month on MailChimp or whatever. Even though those platforms are great, you can do email marketing on the cheap, okay? And this isn't a promotion for, I mean, I guess it is, but I'm not here trying to get you all to sign up for Author Email. The point is that there are options. So we're going to talk through all three of these things. And I'm going to give you how I approach each of these buckets. Okay. And then before we do that though, I'm going to give you a framework, because I love frameworks. That's how I teach. That's how I learn. So that's how I teach things is, here's a framework so that you can apply literally a framework, like a blueprint, to this piece of marketing, to this bucket. If it's social media, here's the framework you can use. If it's advertising, here's the framework you use. The framework is pretty simple, and it's purposefully a little bit more general, because again, it's going to depend on what you're doing and what genre you are and all that stuff, right? But the point is, I have a framework that I want you to think in terms of when it comes to marketing, because it simplifies the marketing process so much. It just takes the stress away, right, guys? I didn't mention, writing another book as a marketing tactic, but guess what? That doesn't count anymore, because that's the barrier for entry. And let me kind of slow down a little bit and talk about that, because I kind of mentioned it in passing earlier where, hey, maybe you're not ready to start advertising. What I'm saying is, all of us are looking at this. We're here talking fictionary stuff because we want a career in this, right? We want to write books, and whatever that looks like. Maybe it's just $1,000 a month. Maybe it's $10 a month. But the point is, we want to sell our books. We want to sell our fiction to other people, which means it's a business. And in order to be in business, we need to be writing more books. Okay, so that alone is not the marketing strategy. That's just to be in business. Okay, does that make sense? So I'm not talking about writing more books, because that's like, hey, you're already doing that. Like, you're already there. We're going to talk about advanced marketing. We're talking about I've got 40 plus books out. Guess what I'm doing? Yeah, I'm writing more books every day, but I'm doing these three things. I've got my framework. This is how I approach it. Okay, so that makes sense. So that's foundational. We're tacking on top of that, these marketing strategies in this framework. Social media, advertising, email marketing. No particular order. Maybe you've got the email marketing thing down and you're sending 2, 3, 4 times a week to your list. Don't freak out. We'll talk about why that's not too much later. But maybe you really haven't touched social media in a while. All right. I'm here to call you out and say, hey, look, with respect, you want to compete. Guess what we're all doing? We're getting our social media game on point, right? Same thing with advertising. Hey, with respect, I know you hate that you have to double dip in Amazon and you're taking all your money from you, but you got to do something. Maybe you do Facebook advertising, but you got to be there, right? You got to be in the game. Okay, so here's the framework. Somewhere it's in my notes. Scroll up. There we go. So the framework, everything you do in marketing. Now, this is back from, I came up with this back I mean, it's not my information, but I kind of worked it into a framework that made sense for me, because this is how I was doing marketing back when I was running $1 million pay-per-click campaigns on Google AdWords for clients. Everything you do in marketing will fall into one of 3 types of campaign. Okay, so everything's a campaign. First of all, that's framework point 1. Everything is some sort of campaign, and there's 3 types of campaign in all of marketing. Now, there's probably more than that, right? There's probably a 5th or 6th or 10th or whatever campaign style, but the 3 that you're going to see all the time, and the 3 that I want you to focus on, because again, you can't focus on everything. You can focus on a few things at a time. So in each of these buckets, social media, advertising, email marketing, you apply this framework to each of those. So that's how we're kind of getting more granular as we go. It makes sense. The first type of campaign is a launch campaign. This is pretty obvious. It's a time-sensitive, a time-based campaign. I mean, it starts and ends, right? You launch a book. What do? You start a campaign and you end the campaign some number of days, weeks, months after, okay? And usually the more money you have, the longer it goes. But that's a launch campaign. And I know that's not specific enough for you, but we'll get in that. We'll get in there. The second type of campaign is just a general time-based campaign. It's not a launch. You're not launching something new, but something that you've already, this is where a backlist campaign can come in. Like, you want to get that backlist selling well. You've got that series that's kind of dwindled in obscurity. Looking at you, Nick, I've got 3 of those. This is the time-based campaign. There's probably a better word I can come up with for it, but your launch campaign is something new. Your time-based campaign is just something old that you want to, temporarily promote. And then your third one, and this is really important, where a lot of authors forget, there's the evergreen campaign. Okay, now back in the day of blogging, I'm not saying that blogging is dead, but back in the day when that was like the heyday, everyone was blogging, right? Evergreen content was this thing that we all talked about as being like, oh, you got to have more evergreen content. And all it means is that it's every time somebody goes and reads your article, it's relevant. So it doesn't matter you wrote it 5 years ago, it's still relevant. Okay. And this is great for fiction because, unless we're writing about politics, and even then, things change, names change, but it's still the same crap that we're talking about, right? Sorry for the PG-13, everybody. I'm bringing it to you. Evergreen is always going to be relevant. So you're talking about humanity, you're talking about people. And when you write fiction, that's what you're doing. So there's plenty of room for evergreen campaigns in what we're doing in marketing. I'm going to pause here. You guys, you with me? You guys leave a comment. Let me know. Yeah, you're good. Okay, cool. If not, like I said, drop a question in there. Now, there's a lot here, but that's the framework. Everything is a campaign, and there are 3 types of campaign. Okay. There's a launch campaign, there's a time-based campaign, and there's the evergreen campaign. And obviously evergreen in marketing means it just runs all the time. Yes, Ariana, yeah, we're going to get more examples because I'm going to give you this framework in each of those buckets I gave you earlier, right? So don't worry, we'll get there. So that's where we're at. We got a framework. We defined what marketing is. And I've given you these 3 buckets: social media, advertising, email marketing. Okay. In no particular order. This is it. This is marketing. This is all you have to worry. This is all you got to focus on. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's so much easier than just saying, do all the things. Good luck, author. Have fun. Also write all your books. You don't have to have a TikTok. If it fits into your social media strategy, then have a TikTok. But I don't really do TikTok. I got videos that squirt out there. I got a social media person scheduling them. I don't ever go on TikTok, but I still have a social media strategy. Okay. So let's get into this. So social media. Let me look at some. Let's look at some examples here. And if you've got some that you can think of, drop them in the comments. You know how we roll. For launch campaigns, this is pretty obvious, right? You want to schedule on social media. So I'm platform agnostic, right? It could be Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all of the above, Insta, whatever you're comfortable with, wherever you believe you want to hang out, right? So for me, this is Facebook. That's my main one. Now I try to get to all of them. I use a social tool, scheduling tool, like I think like Hootsuite or TweetDeck, or the one I use is Vista Social, socialchamp.io I've also got, but it doesn't matter what it is. But these are just tools where you can schedule the content and it just automatically goes out to all the different places. Okay. When I do a live stream, for example, I kind of call that's kind of social, right? So I have Book Career in a Year is my company that I do all this stuff in. And I go live once a week, free content just like this. And I tell people, hey, this is what, I use a tool that goes to all the different places. So it goes to my YouTube page, it goes to my channel, it goes to my Twitter page, it goes to my Facebook group and my Facebook page, because there's 2 different ones. And that's all for nonfiction. But when there's fiction, if I'm doing something fiction side, I've got a whole different set of social profiles. There's no possible way I could manage all that without a tool like this. So I'm not telling you have to use one. If all you ever want to do is Facebook, that's fine. You can manage that on your own. But the point is, don't think in terms of what platform. Think in terms of, well, where do I want to hang out? What's comfortable for me? Do I like Twitter? Do I hate Twitter? It doesn't matter. Just pick 1 or 2 and make that kind of your home base. And I'll give you a hint. Try to go where your readers are. So if you are already engaging with your readership on Facebook, maybe make Facebook your kind of main social platform when you do this. Okay. So when I say do this, what I'm talking about here, let's get into some campaigns. So social media, you want to launch a book. Great. How are you building a campaign for that launch? A launch campaign using social media. Well, very obviously, you pick a day and say, I'm going to start talking about the book today, and I'm going to put a post every day about that book. And then when it launches, I'm going to say, it's here, here's a link. And then afterward, for some number of days, you're going to post about that and continue going. You know, hey, it's launched, it's getting reviews. Early on, you can schedule that stuff. Like, you obviously don't know how many reviews you're going to have on day 3, so you don't want to schedule that ahead of time, but you might write a post that is you're planning to release 2 days after launch that says, oh my gosh, we've already got X number of reviews, right? And then you put that in there and you make a note to yourself to go back and put the number in, right? But everything else you can pre-schedule on these platforms. You can say, hey, here's a picture of the cover, or here's the, cover to be revealed. This is really, really exciting for a lot, especially fantasy. You're writing fantasy. Oh man, we eat up those cover reveal posts, right? Post about the characters you're writing about, especially if it's a new series. Get it, let us get to know them. Doesn't have to be hard. You just get a chapter where some dialogue in there, they're going back and forth, and then, post it or schedule it and say, this is coming up. This is the book I'm going to launch on this date. Don't even put a link in for all of these, just talk about it. Just be present, just be relevant, and have people ask questions, call to actions, right? So have somebody ask a question like, well, what are you most excited about for this book? If it's, 15th in a series, they've been with you for a while, right? If it's a brand new series, what are you looking forward to about a brand new series that is mine, if you know me as an author? If you're brand new to this game and no one knows who you are, say, hey, I'm this person. This is the style that I like to write. It's similar to George R.R. Martin meets, some fantasy person, right? I don't know. I'm drawing a blank here. Lord of the Rings guy. Okay, well, what's your favorite, style within that, or what's your favorite fantasy? The point is, get some engagement. Okay, it doesn't have to Tolkien. Thank you, Ines. J.R.R. Tolkien. I knew it was somebody else with like 4 names. The point is, when you're doing a launch campaign, don't think just in terms of, I gotta just talk about my book all the time. No, you're just getting to know your people, and the best way to get to know somebody is to ask them questions. And let me say that a different way. The best way, that Dale Carnegie said, the best way for somebody to get to know you is to ask them questions about themselves. Social media is a great place to do that because it's fast, it's quick, you can engage right away. There's always a love or heart button you can click. So let people do that by engaging with you in a launch campaign. Okay. I don't want to belabor this. You guys get it. A campaign, like a time-based campaign, same sort of thing. You pick a book out of the backlist, or you do, maybe it's something else you're promoting. Like you just released a paperback version and you want to do a campaign for that. I mean, I'd kind of call that a launch campaign because it's a new product, but who cares? The point is, it's time-based. You pick a date to start, pick a date to end, and then you schedule what you're going to talk about. Whether that's images, maybe you do a video of yourself holding the thing up. Maybe you do a slideshow with the Mid-Journey created art, or the stock photos you found, or you have an illustrator, whatever it is. You can think of all kinds of creative ways to have something to do, something to talk about in any of these campaigns. And then you do it. Finally, the evergreen one. This is great for social media, especially if you have a scheduling tool. All that stuff you've done, you pick the ones that worked really well. Maybe you have to tweak them a little bit because you're not launching now, but you just schedule that out ad nauseum. And I'm talking every 3 months, every 6 months, same thing. You post it. If it works really well, you get a lot of engagement, post it again. This is something Brendan Burchard calls circular virality. It's just a fancy term for make something work and then do it again because it keeps working, right? And he always jokes from Montana, you got a garage sale on Sunday and it worked, you made money, you do it again next Sunday, right? You go to the junkyard, buy some stuff and then sell it, right? Point is, in social media, we often don't do this because we're afraid we're going to turn people off. Oh, it's too much. I'm just posting all the time. Guys, look, last stat that I saw, it was something like every time you post, only 6% of your crowd is going to see it. And I believe that's way on the high end. I think it's more like 1% or less, okay, of people who are ever going to see it. And I guarantee you, because of those stats, that same person's not going to see it the next time it's posted. Because that's just the way this stuff works, okay? Yeah, less than 1% now, Shannon says. The point is, don't be afraid of turning people off because they've already seen something, because one of two things is going to happen. They're going to look at you and go, wow, their social media game's great because they posted it again. Cool, I'm moving on. Who cares? It's very easy to ignore social media posts. So they're not going to get mad at you for posting. They're just going to keep scrolling away. Who cares? The second thing that may happen is they may go, I remember they posted that last time and I liked it and commented on it last time. I really like this post. I'm going to like and comment on it again. You know, we don't care if you post it again. Okay, now don't do the same post every single day. This isn't like, with old school Twitter. But wait a few months. You've got like for evergreen campaigns specifically, you've got a bunch of quote cards that you've made in Canva that have your characters, your favorite quotes from your favorite characters on them, or your readers' favorite quotes, or your reviews, right? You use them for advertising. You can use them for these kind of campaigns. And so an evergreen campaign is just dropping something in there. Maybe like I liked to do for a while, I was doing a throwback Thursday where I was talking about, I remember when on this day, because I keep a daily journal, right? On this day, I was at the beach, I was writing this book. Here's the book, whatever, link to it. I can do that every single year. That same exact post, right? No one's going to remember I did it. But you can do like a motivation Monday. What are you reading? What are you excited about this week? Whatever it is. Fiction, nonfiction, doesn't matter what you're writing. This stuff all works. Okay, so think in terms of those 3 campaign styles: launches, time-based campaigns, and those evergreens for your social media. Let me move on now. We'll talk about email marketing next because advertising tends to get a little sticky. Everybody wants to hear about advertising. We'll do that last. So email marketing, think about your touch points. You can do the same thing you did before social media, right? So think about the same sort of touch points. You can do a motivation Monday. You can send that in an email format. That's a great sort of evergreen campaign. If you've got a blog post you wrote introducing your character to the world and you did some social posts on that during the launch, you can turn around and make an evergreen campaign of all of those sort of posts that just kind of runs forever. And guess what? All you need is 52 of them because you want to send 1 email a week, and then you just ongoing forever. Use an autoresponder sequence in your email platform, whatever that is. They'll have one. Author email, we've got one. We wanted to bake that in so you don't have to upgrade to a bunch of tiers. You can use it at the lowest tier. You can set up autoresponders that just go on forever. So every time you write a good piece of content, you may have to tweak it, instead of happy Thursday, happy day. So you kind of take the time sensitiveness out of it. Whatever that is you're writing, that email, there's a good chance you can reuse that content. So I'm kind of working backwards, but that's an evergreen, example of evergreen campaign for email marketing. For a time-based campaign, continuing to work backwards, maybe you've got that backlist title that you want to promote. So meanwhile, while you're doing your social media time-based campaign, you do one for email marketing too. You say, hey, this week, I'm going to really try to push $1,000 in sales to this old book. We're going to dust off this thing, maybe give it a new cover, maybe rework it, put a little gold foil stamp on it because it's got a new foreword by a friend of mine, whatever it is. Change it up a little bit or not, and then write 5, 6 articles or, emails and send them to your list. Okay. The reason that this isn't too much, the reason that people aren't going to just immediately unsubscribe because, oh my God, they sent you two emails this week, is that that's how email works. Okay. How many Bed Bath and Beyond emails I don't know where you are located, but I get it's not even in business anymore. It's not even around. I still get freaking emails from this company, even though I've unsubscribed 150 times. Yes, that makes me mad. Don't be Bed Bath and Beyond. But the point is, anything less than that is fair game. If you want to send me an email every day, I signed up to your mailing list, author. I want to hear from you. Obviously, you can't do that forever and just, months go by and every single day, hi, how's it going? What are you doing today? Give me some substance, give me something to talk about every day and do it for a week because it's a campaign you're running, and then lay off and send me an email once a week. But don't be afraid to send more than you're sending now. A lot of people I talk to, and I give talks all the time on email marketing specifically, and there's a whole thing I could talk about for years about this. Look, I built an email platform. I know the data. I know the stats. It's so much less likely for somebody to unsubscribe when you send too much email than if you don't send enough. Let me unpack that for a second. If you are sending an email once every 2 months or even once a month, it may not be enough for them to remember why they subscribed to you in the first place. They may forget who you are. They may not have gotten to your book. They may just, lost it. And so you send this email all of a sudden and they're like, well, I don't know who this is. Maybe it ends up in junk or spam because they haven't even trained to hear from you, right? They may unsubscribe. It's more likely to unsubscribe then than if you were to send an email every day. Because what happens when you get an email you don't want, you don't immediately unsubscribe from them. You just go down, you press delete. or you archive it. That's what I do. I just, okay, read it, kind of saw it, whatever, archive it. I hate having the little red bubble with the number in it. I don't want any unread email. So I'm going to read it, I'm going to click it, and then I'm going to just archive it. If I'm not there, I'm not ready to buy that book yet. So don't be afraid to send more email than you're sending. I urge you, don't worry about it. Okay. Shannon says the issue is the cost of my email list versus what I make monthly, and the fact that I don't write fast enough to keep selling new books. Right. So Shannon, think in terms of campaigns. Maybe you got that book out, but don't talk about your book all the time. People want to hear from you. And the reason they're going to buy your book is not just that they want to read your book. It's also because they like you. And I know that sounds really weird and squishy, but there is some psychological reason besides you created something that they want to buy, that they are following you and hearing from you. So think in terms of campaigns, right? Can I do a launch campaign for this book? No, I already launched it. Okay, great. But you can do an evergreen campaign of your favorite writing music. Once a week, you're going to send an email with a link to a YouTube video of the favorite song that you were listening to when you wrote it. I'm just spitballing here, but you could think of an unlimited amount of things that you could send that are interesting to certain people. Don't worry about them unsubscribing. That's how things work. You're always going to get some unsubscribes, but the reason they're unsubscribing is probably not because you're sending too much. So that was kind of going back to my point. Okay, yeah. So, and then Twinkle says, yeah, for me, it depends on the quality of the email content. Again, exactly. Don't, go, hi, hope you're doing well. Okay, that's the end of the email. You got to give them some substance. Of course, this does take a little bit of work, but look, you guys are writers. Writing shouldn't be that hard. Secret, I use ChatGPT for a lot of my emails, especially if it's a launch, because I've done this 40-something times, and I run a publishing company that does it a bunch more times. I don't need to come up with fresh, amazing, substantive content every single time I launch a book. It's just a book. It's a thriller. They know who I am. Boom, done. Here, ChatGPT, you write it. And they'll come up with something that it just needs to be 500 words of here's the book. And then, of course, I'll drop in the description of the book and then the picture of the book. You can do this for things besides launches as well. I can have ChatGPT write up and, hey, I'm listening to this music and it's inspiring and here's why. Can you come up with 500 words about that? So it's still me, it's still my content, but then I'm just having, a service do the actual copywriting for me. I'm not saying every single email you get is written by a robot. I'm saying that this can help you come up with more content faster. Okay. Angela, real quick before we move on. So I've been sending one longer email once a month. Maybe I should break up the content and send it twice a month. I believe that it would be a fantastic test. Okay. And I don't want to get too technical here, but stop looking at your open rates. If you are, that is not an accurate test of who's actually opening your email. I know it sounds like it should be. We just don't know. If you get an open rate of 30%, I would say it's probably closer to 50% for any particular email. There's just not any solid way of tracking that. Any email provider worth their salt will tell you the same thing. Okay. It's not just author email. Any of them will say, like, there's just no good way to do it. If you feel like you must track this stuff, and Angela, like what you're doing, and you want to see if it's actually improving over time, measure the click rate. Give them something to click on every email. You'll know because people can't click it without opening it, right? Or you can use something called open reach, which is just dividing the amount of people you have on your list by the number of opens over a certain amount of time, like 3 months for every email you've sent. Go search open reach and you can read more about why that's a little bit more accurate. But this isn't super important. The data isn't important. I do think you probably will find you like sending twice a month because you get more response and you get yourself in front of people more often. And that leads to long-term, indirect, usually, benefits. Okay. Moving on. I gave you some examples in there. And then I want to talk about advertising too, because this one gets a little sticky. Like I said, people have preconceived notions about advertising, and there's a reason for that. There's a lot of really good, smart people out there. I'm friends with every single one of them in the author space. So I'm not going to speak ill of them because they're not wrong. What's happening is they found a specific way that worked for them, and they're teaching it to us. And our job as business owners is to appreciate that knowledge, take that knowledge, and then use it the best way we know how in our business. And that could be just understanding it. That doesn't mean we have to implement exactly what they're saying, or when we try to implement exactly what they're saying and it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that the information was bad. Okay, so that's my caveat with all this advertising stuff. I'm not going to spend as much time giving you examples of launches, evergreens, and time-based campaigns because you can figure it out. For advertising, it's the same sort of thing. You want to advertise a launch, you advertise a launch. That's a launch campaign. What I want to give you, though, is a way to do ads. And I'm going to focus on Facebook because that's where I find a lot of success right now. But I want you to hear it as, hey, this is what Nick uses. And he's one of these gurus who talks about advertising. And if it doesn't work for me, it's not because this doesn't work. It's because maybe it hasn't tested enough, or maybe it's, the genre is a little different, or maybe it's because of any number of a million things, like, the planet's not aligning right. This is good information, though, I promise. What's happening is we're shifting from choosing very targeted niche demographic markets to advertise to letting these black box algorithms do the work for us. Okay. This is why when we hear somebody else talk about advertising and they're telling us to do that and we get frustrated, it's because this stuff is working less than it used to work. But the good news is there's a better way to do it. Okay. For advertising specifically, and I know I'm shifting gears here. We're not talking about the launches and campaigns and all that. I just want to give you something that's you can use right now. Don't overthink ads. Just don't do it. Just stop. If you're thinking about it right now, stop. Just don't overthink it. No, what I mean is when you're targeting, when you're picking that demographic, and if you've been in the Facebook Business Manager ads tool, you know what I'm talking about. There's this whole thing where you can narrow down by if they have a Kindle device, or if they read on, Kobo or ebook or whatever. And, if they're the color of their skin and what language they speak and all that stuff it's really cool that we can get that kind of granular data. It's creepy, sure, but it's cool for advertisers because we can get really granular with that. But Facebook is very good at targeting already. So let them do it. Okay. What I'm saying is, I'm going to tell you exactly how I set up my ad campaign. I don't do any targeting. I just set the ad campaign up and I put in the description, the text box, right? All that content that kind of has like 3,000 character limit or word limit. That's a lot of space for content. And I can put all the stuff that I want to target in that box and then let Facebook's black box, when I say black box, that mysterious thing that we don't know how it works. All we know is that it works. I let that algorithm target for me. Okay. Now I do usually narrow it to English speaking because I want to give it kind of a head start. And I may put, 35 to 65 plus as my demographic age range, but that's it. I don't do, I usually organize my campaigns by country. So I may have to narrow it down by US or UK or whatever I'm targeting to. That just helps me organize things. That's not a targeting thing. But then I'd let it target. I don't put James Patterson as an author interest target. I don't put James Rollins or Clive Cussler, the guys that I write in the same vein as. I put that stuff in the text box. Okay. I make a description where I just say, hey, are you interested in finding a new book? Or, and I'll wordsmith this a lot, right? But I'll just say, I've got 6 books on my website that I think you'll like. I'm selling them for a great price. And maybe I'll put the price, maybe I'll test it without the price, but I'll say that it's for sale. I'll change the button to, buy now. And then I'll put, hey, if you like James Rollins, Clive Cussler, whatever, you're going to like this stuff. And I'll go on and on and on. I'll say, over 7,000 people have read and reviewed this, giving me 5 stars, blah, blah, blah. It's available on Amazon. It's available on my website, whatever. What I'm doing is telling Facebook, and this is just ad platform doesn't matter, but this case, it's Facebook. I'm telling Facebook, hey, look, here's all the data you need to make a decision on how to find me more people. Now you go find it. You've spent all the time building this giant, 6 billion person platform. You go find me some people. And what happens is when we do it this way, when we test these ads, they typically will start at a higher cost per click, not super high, but maybe 20 cents, right? Which is still affordable for me. If I've got a 15 book series and I'm advertising to book 1, there's a lot of read through. I'm going to make a lot of money if somebody buys that first book. So 20 cents is nothing. I'll advertise 20 cents all day long. But then the cost per click tends to go down over time until it trails down to like 14 cents or 12 cents. Sometimes it's 9 cents. On the contrary, if we, niche down and really try to find this target demographic and give that to Facebook, we're basically just putting a boundary around all of Facebook's potential users. So if we say, I want to advertise to people who like James Patterson, James Rollins, and Clive Cussler, yeah, that little range over there says, okay, that's 6 million people, that potential, but I'm telling Facebook, somebody that they find has to have liked or interacted with something related to those 3 people or one of those 3 people. And the thing about the black box algorithm is that it doesn't work that way. Like there's so many other data points it has where it can make assumptions now. Well, they didn't say they like James Patterson, but they did like this other author, Dennis Lehane, who's kind of similar in some ways. And maybe I'm going to show this ad to them. Oh, look, they clicked on it. That never would have happened if I had just said, Facebook, I only want people who like these 3 things. So that's why we don't narrow right now in 2023 and beyond. That's why we're not finding that working as well, the niching down. Okay. I'm not saying that this is going to work forever. Like I said, I'm just one guy and this is what's working for me, but it's working really well. But going back to my comment about cost per click starting high, going low, that's exactly opposite of what I found with niching down. If I start with a really, really narrow target, James Rollins, and narrow it by people who have Kindle devices, so that I know that I'm advertising to Kindle Unlimited, whatever, then it starts low, maybe 9, 10 cents, 11 cents, and then it just starts to go up. And pretty soon it gets to be not affordable. And what do I have to do? I have to find another target demographic. Maybe I change it somehow. Maybe I alter it. Maybe I change it completely. But that maybe takes 3 weeks. And so every week now I'm going through an old ad campaign going, all right, I have to change this. Now this got to be too expensive, blah, blah, blah. I've hit the frequency limit that I'm trying to target, 2 or under, whatever. And, I know I'm giving you a lot here, guys, but the point is I start having to do this too much and it gets to be overwhelming. And what do? I stop advertising. Okay. But what was Nick's number 1 rule? You got to always be advertising. You got to always be doing social media. You got to always be doing email marketing. Okay. So the way to continue advertising is to figure out a way to not overthink it. And the best way to do that right now that actually does work is to let Facebook do the targeting for you. Okay. So that's the big takeaway there. There's more to it. I can get into that, but we're coming right up on the end of the scheduled stuff. And I want to make sure that there's time for questions because I know that there are some. I'm already seeing some in here. So if that's okay, I'm going to jump in to the question side over here in chat. If you've got one, drop it in because I probably forgot to mention something or gave you too much. And you're trying to, parse through it. I'll just go backwards here, but Sharon, yeah, thanks for sharing this. Of course, absolutely. Yeah. There's no secrets. That's the thing. I want to portray here, like there's no silver bullet, like there's no secret. It's doing all the things, but it's being able to focus on what works. And I want to give you guys that. My company, Book Career in a Year, where all this stuff lives. I've got courses about it and stuff. Again, I'm not here to sell it to you, but the mantra I've got is the world needs more books and it needs better books. And that includes yours. And so I'm not going to hide anything from you. If I figure out something that works, I want to tell you because I want to read your book. I don't think that we're competing at all, right? If I like James Rollins, guess what? I'm going to buy his books and I'm going to buy Clive Cussler's books and anyone else that's like him because I can't get enough of them. That's how books work. Diane, what's the name of the social media scheduling services? I use Vista Social with a V, and I use socialchamp.io. Those 2 are okay. They work fine. There's probably better ones that cost more money, but those work to do the thing. This is a commodity these days. There's a million of these services. So I'd just say, play around with some. If you got a free demo, free trial, see which one you like, because you're going to be living in it for a little bit, maybe an hour a week, if you really want to launch something with social media. And I recommend it. So figure out what works for you. You just want something that you can schedule ahead of time. That you can put in schedule. Okay. Ariana, I see your question. I'll try to get to it at the end, but I want to go through some of these other ones first. Twinkle question: what's the ROI you're finding on Facebook ads since they've been getting more costly? This is the thing. They haven't been getting more costly for me because, again, I told you I'm letting Facebook do the targeting now. So my curve is it's like flipped over. When things were getting more costly, I wanted an ROI of at least 200%. If I put $1 in, I want to get $2 out. Okay. I don't want to break even. I want to get, maybe call that a ROI of 100% technically. So this is all pretty vague because every campaign might be different. I know that it's a little harder to get the sale if I'm sending people directly to my website for the books I sell wide. And so that might be a little bit lower, maybe 75% ROI or 150%, depending how you're defining it. Or it may be higher. I may want to get 300% if I know it's going to Amazon and this book has sold well in the past and there's a book bub going on, whatever. So I don't worry too much about the ROI. What I worry about is making sure that I'm getting a good cost per click that's really low and that the conversion rate is like 2% or something, so every person that sees my ad, I should say, 2% of those people will go and buy something. Okay. And there's ways to track that with Amazon attribution and all that. But don't worry too much about the numbers when you're getting started with this. Just consider that it might be much more long-term feasible if you let Facebook et al. Do the targeting for you. This works in Amazon as well. Set up an auto ad and just give it some negative keywords every week. People searching, for me, a good example of this is gay fiction is really popular in the thriller genre. Well, that's not what I write. And so I will negate that keyword in all the different iterations because I don't want people coming and going, oh, this isn't what I want. Now I've just spent the money on the ad, right? But anything, it can work, women's fiction, like that's not really what I write. So you negate these keywords on Amazon, but let the auto ad run, let it do its thing. And you'll find that it kind of settles at a cost per click that is reasonable and decent. And as long as you check in with your conversion rate, make sure that people are actually buying it and you're making money, keep it running as long as you can, because it just makes it a lot less headache. Okay, I think re-up your question. So if you ask one that I'm not getting to, pop it down there. I'll try to see it. I think this is the one, Ariana. Best advice for pre-published authors. Can you define that? What do you mean by pre-published? Before you're published, or not published traditionally? I'm trying to understand what you're asking here. Nikki Davenport, repeat, please. You want me to repeat what? The Vista Social? Shane posted that link there for you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Socialchamp.io. Yeah. Like I said, they're okay. As somewhat of a software guy myself, I probably would have done some things differently with them. They're not bad. They work fine, but they're just a little clunky in some ways. So I'm not saying go buy them, but there's something out there that you'll like, I promise. Diane, I do advertise on Amazon. I hate Amazon. They're just evil. And I love them because they put food on the table. But at the same time, I'm like, if I can advertise on Facebook, I'll do that all day long. But I'm always testing something on Amazon. Right now, I'm really just doing some very generic one keyword ads like James Rollins and just kind of letting it go, doing broad. And then I'm doing the auto ads quite a bit. But when I was really, really heavily invested in Amazon ads, I was doing probably 11, 12, 13K a month on Amazon. So I definitely have been there before. I definitely know it's there. I've tried BookBub ads as well. Those can work. But again, try to consider, as much as possible, let the big magic black box do its magic black box stuff. Don't try to give it too much boundary, or you're going to find yourself getting either too expensive too quickly, or you're going to run out of people to advertise too quickly. Okay, cool. Not published yet. So Ariana, yeah. So if you're not published, these are the things you need to be thinking about down the road. I want you to get your book out as soon as you can. There's something about publishing that first book, whether it's traditional, whether it's self-published, whether you use draft to digital, whatever it is, publish the book, get it out there, because that is an education in itself. And there's just nothing you can read or hear or listen to that's going to prepare you for what it's like to have a book out. Because first of all, that's a really cool thing. Not a lot of people write books. So get your book out, celebrate, please celebrate. Don't forget to celebrate. That's a huge part of my career, is learning how to celebrate. And I use whiskey to celebrate sometimes, but hey, you can do your own thing. Go skating, whatever it is, go celebrate, and then work on the next book. As you're doing that, as you're building your platform of fiction, be thinking in terms of my 3 buckets. Is there something I can be doing to build a mailing list? Is there something I can be doing to prepare advertising? Maybe that's finding stock photos you really like that you might one day use for ads. I'm not saying go invest $1,000 a month in advertising one book, because it's really hard. Your ROI is so much lower. The margin you're able to make is lower because of, you only have one book. I've got a 15-book series. That's just one series. So when I advertise to book one, oh, and by the way, they're all $6.99. £6.99, $6.99, whatever country you're in. It's more expensive usually than what you find with indies. But the point is, I can spend a lot of money advertising book one because I know my read through, which is how often people go to the next one and how much they read of the whole series. I think it's 32% from book 1 to book 15 or 14 is what's out now. So doing some back of the napkin math, like if I spend $100 on Facebook ads, 32% are going to go buy book 1. 32% of people who buy book 1, because again, there's a lot of people that buy book 1, but then 32% of those will go all the way to the end and have bought or equivalent KU page reads for all the way to, it makes sense. And I said back of the napkin math, I meant I'm not going to do math. I don't do math. I write books, but you can do the back of the napkin math and figure out that's a lot of money, which means then I can take and reinvest more money into book one. So I can literally sell my first book as what's called a loss leader, where we advertise more money than we're bringing in on book one only, because our ROAS, which is return on ad spend, is higher over the course of a series. So Ariana, like, get that series out, get the books out, get a big backlist built, 3, 4, 5, 6 books before you really start doing any heavy advertising. But just know, when you start marketing, when you come call Coach Nick, he's going to say, better be advertising, better be doing social media, better be doing email marketing. And social media and email marketing, you can start doing right now. Okay, hope that helps. Let's see. Okay, scrolling up here, making sure, do we have no books released? Okay, cool. JK Lambo, is that a question? What are marketing tips you'd recommend for people who want to market their second book, and what social media platforms did you find worked for marketing your book? All these same things. Think in terms of campaigns. Think in terms of launching that second book / promoting that first book in time-sensitive campaigns. Doing evergreen content, however you can do it. Okay. I'm not familiar with Black Bakery Romance, but that sounds like a great well to kind of tap into as far as like doing some evergreen stuff, sending something to your list every week on some subject that your readers love. Romance, you guys kill it. I mean, there's so many readers for you out there. I'm not saying that marketing is easier, because there's a lot of people advertising as well and marketing as well. But you have the benefit that other genres don't, which is there are so many whale readers, people who read a book or 3 a day. In that, and there's some in every genre, but there's just not as many as there are in romance. So figure out a way to get those people on your side, and usually that's by giving them a great deal on a first book, and then marketing the hell out of it, and just emailing them all the time saying, hey, do you love me? Here's another reason to love me. Check this out. Here's my dog. We love cat pictures, dog pictures. So that kind of stuff. Again, I'm being more general because it's not the only genre here. But this works in every genre. Trust me, when I send an email with pictures of my kids at the beach, my sales go up. I even put a link in there. People are just like, oh, it's so cute. I'm going to go click over and find this guy on Amazon, buy all his books because he has cute kids. You know, maybe you don't want to show your kids, whatever, I used to do woodworking when I was out in Hawaii, right? So, hey, here's a table I just made. Cool. Oh, the Enigma strain sold today. It's so weird and crazy what works. Just try a lot of it, but don't focus on everything all at once. Focus on the things I gave you, which is think in terms of campaigns and think in terms of these 3 buckets. And if you're not good at one of the buckets, get better at it. This is not the time to be like, oh, focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses. No. Focus on your weaknesses. When it comes to marketing, if you're not doing advertising, figure out why, because guess what? All the rest of us are doing advertising, and it works really well once you get it on lock and starts to sell books. If you don't want to sell books, fine, don't do any of the things I said. But I think you're all here because you want to figure out what this marketing thing looks like. This is the game. All right. Maybe it's unfortunate because social media shouldn't exist and I hate it and it's bad for us, but that's the way it is. I'm just calling it like I see it. So I hope this has been helpful. I think I got a lot of these big questions. Please let me know. Look, I'm eminently findable. If you guys want to reach out, see some of the stuff that I'm working on. Like I said, I think Shane mentioned bookcareerinayear.com. I have courses. I try to keep them as affordable as possible. I put a lot of work. These are like 50 video long courses, hours long courses, $35. Okay. I'm about to release a little bit more expensive one. I think it'll be $47. But it's about marketing. So it's all of this expanded out to like 50 hours of content or something crazy like that. I think you can buy it right now, but it's not ready yet. There's just a promo video, but I'm going to try to work on that the next few weeks. And then part of that is there's a marketing course that talks about mindset, the motivation, all that stuff, and then the buckets. But then I have planned 3 other courses, one on advertising, social media, and email marketing. And if you are just interested in coming on for the ride, you want to spend any money on that, I totally understand. I would like to keep in touch though. So go to the website, go to bookcareerinayear.com and sign up for one of the mailing lists. They're free. I've got 3 email, like 20-week campaigns totally free about email, about social media, and about advertising right on the homepage. It should be pretty easy. Last I checked, they worked. So hopefully you can sign up for those. And of course, I'll mention things to you once you're on the list. I'll say, hey, I got this coming out and all this. But look, the point is, I'm trying to get all this information out to you guys. It doesn't need to be as hard as we're making it in the industry. There's just so much out there that we could do. So I'm trying to help focus you a little bit and get you to understand how I approach this stuff. I really do hope this serves you, but like I said, I'm imminently findable. So go sign up for this stuff or just ping me somewhere. Nick Thacker, you can go Google it. There's like one poor guy who's a dentist in California. He's on page 3 of Google. All the rest is me. So you'll be able to find me pretty easily on whatever platform you're on, unless you're looking for a dentist. I can't help you there. Thank you guys for your time. And yeah, love to follow up. Thanks for everything. And we will hopefully meet you in person or see you soon sometime.
Yeah, thanks so much, Nick. That was awesome. And obviously, I'll see you guys at all the great events we've got coming up in the community. We've got some guest speakers coming in, more guest speakers, and some Fictionary certified story coach editor sessions as well. And of course, there is Fictionary Live. If you're not signed up to that, go grab your annual subscription and get in on Fictionary Live. But a big thank you to Nick. There was lots of useful information there, and I know you would have all got so much from that.